Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to look at changing the subject of a formula. Sometimes you'll see it being referred to as transposing. So all that it entails is rearranging a formula to make a specific letter the subject of the formula. So what do I mean by making a specific letter subject of the formula? So if the question says make x the subject of the formula, all that would mean is that we would go through a process where we would rearrange this formula to ultimately arrive at x equal something. So the key thing is that x is the only thing on one side of the equation. So it'd be similar to how we would solve an equation where x is on one side and then we'd have the number on the other side. So let us go through this process to see what x, being the subject of the formula looks like. So just as how we would go about solving an equation where, we'd want to have the x's on one side and the numbers on the other side, it's a similar process. Because this question, particularly, we are solving or making x the subject of the formula. You could think of it as solving for x. So let's proceed. So to get the x's on one side, and I'm choosing the left side, I'm going to subtract cx from both sides. So that leaves, or that results in ax minus cx is equal to, so I can write d plus b. So what I just did there was to also add b to both sides. So this is the result. Then in my next step, we see here that we can't add these, but we can factorize because x is common to this term here and x is also common to this term here. So putting x on the outside, open bracket, a minus c, that is equal to minus d plus b. And from here, we divide both sides by ac. Well, when I say, I mean a minus c. So cancel, cancel. This results in x equal to minus d upon b over a minus c. So luckily enough space was created to do this question and I had written the x here without going through the process. So for another example, we apply the same concept. So again, one thing to notice is that this question now has, a number and, mixed with different, letters. We have A, B, we have X. And again, we're making X the subject of the formula. And we therefore would go through the same process. So let's start by putting the X's on the left side. So minus X on both sides. Now we have x, and I'm going to actually go through step by step. From here, we can minus a from both sides. And now we have x is equal to minus b minus a. And we're finished with that question. So now we can say that, x is the subject of the formula. So we're coming from here, and now we just have x on one side of the equation. And as I had mentioned before, this whole process is, is called changing the subject of the formula or transposing for x, right? So you could say make x the subject of the formula, or you could say transpose for x. All right? So moving on, another example. So again, put the x's on the left side. So I would need to remove this 5x from the right side by adding 5x to both sides. So I have b, and then this is just a positive 3x equals c. Then from here, minus b from both sides. So I have 3x is equal to c minus b. And then I divide both sides by 3. Now I have x is equal to c minus b over 3. And that's it for that question. So more examples. We would have seen how to remove brackets in simplifying expression lessons, or even solving equation lessons where we had to remove some brackets and solve for x. So again, we are to make x the subject of the formula. So we remove these brackets by multiplying out 4 times x, 4 times minus a. So this is 4x minus 4a is equal to, so this is 3a minus 3x. From here, we want to have the x's on the left side. So this minus 3x, we remove it by doing the opposite, by adding 3x here, and then we add 3x over this side to balance the equation. Now we have 7x minus 4a is equal to 3a. And then to get 7x by itself, we add 4a to both sides. Now this becomes 7x is equal to 7a. You divide both sides by 7. X is equal to a. So this is a pretty interesting one. Alright, so moving on to the next question. So we have, so just as before, multiply out, we have px plus p equal qx minus q. Put the x's together. We have px minus qx, right? Because the minus qx on both sides. And then now you could also minus p from both sides. And this gives a minus q here, minus p. And then the only thing we can do here to get x, just a single x, is to factor out the x from these two terms, and then write p minus q in bracket, minus q minus p, and then lastly divide both sides by p minus q, and we arrive at x is equal to that over this.